In breaking news, the Los Angeles Times newsroom's guild leaders called for a one-day walkout. Now, this is going to happen on Friday to protest planned cuts to offset steep financial losses that owner Dr. Patrick Soncion and his family have absorbed since acquiring the paper nearly 6 years ago. Now, the Times disclosed today that substantial layoffs were coming due to a widening budget deficit. The walkout represents the newsroom's first union-organized work stoppage in the paper's 142-year history. We know that the first African-American editor of the LA Times exited a couple of weeks ago, and there are rumors that he knew that the gutting of the paper was coming pretty quickly. We'll keep an eye on that story as it is developing. And in other news, Fani T. Willis, the district attorney prosecuting the Georgia election interference case against former President Trump, is trying to quash a subpoena seeking her testimony in the divorce proceedings of a special prosecutor she hired to manage the case. A court filing last week accused Ms. Willis of having a romantic relationship with the prosecutor, Nathan Wade. We also know in that case that the judge overseeing the Georgia RICO case against Donald Trump and others that Fani Willis is prosecuting, that judge has called for a hearing in February to go over and to have Fani Willis respond to the allegations of improprieties with respect to Nathan Wade. And in other news, there's been a lot of news coming out of Georgia. There was an exchange between the lawyers in that Georgia criminal case against Trump and Fani T. Willis, the district attorney who's leading the prosecution, telling the defense lawyers in an email that some people will never be able to respect African Americans. Now, this email exchange, portions which have been obtained by the media, unfolded in the days before and after one of the co-defendants in the Trump's case, accused Willis of being in this romantic relationship with the lawyer Nathan Wade. That attorney for one of the defendants in the criminal case has also accused Willis of paying over $600,000 in attorney's fees to Wade and his law firm, and that she somehow benefited from those fees that were paid to Wade's firm. All kinds of allegations about Willis and Wade on expensive cruises and other vacations. So the judge in this case is going to hold a hearing, and he's requiring Fani Willis to file a pleading to respond to these very salacious and very serious allegations. And of course, the co-defendant is asking that Willis and her entire prosecutorial team be dismissed and that the charges against him and Donald Trump also be dismissed. And the Senate today passed a bill to avert a partial government shutdown as Congress raced one day before its spending deadline to send President Biden's stopgap legislation to fund federal agencies through early March. The 77-18 vote cleared the way for a vote in the House later today. Now, this would provide lawmakers more time to pass spending bills totaling $1.6 trillion or $66 trillion to fund the government through the fall. Now, these are the levels that Democrats and Republicans agreed upon this month, but this plan would hold most federal spending steady while bolstering the military. And Nikki Haley, her presidential aspirations may hang on a victory in the New Hampshire primary election, which is taking place next Tuesday. Now, she's depending on her ability to sway people who do not belong to the Republican Party. It's not a bad bet in a state where about 40% of the voters call themselves independents. And in that primary next week, Democrats, independents, and Republicans can vote. However, some pundits say the problem with this plan is that those voters come in all shapes and stripes, and many of them are not open to her candidacy. And with only 5 days left before that New Hampshire primary, Donald Trump and his allies are stepping up their efforts to muscle Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis out of the Republican presidential race by casting Trump as the inevitable nominee. Now, this strategy, according to some, reflects an urgent desire to end the race quickly and avoid an extended and expensive battle for delegates heading into Super Tuesday on March 5th. And in some surprising but incredible news for Spelman College, the all-women's school in Atlanta, today they announced that they received a $100 million, yes, $100 million donation, which its officials are calling the largest donation ever to this historically Black college. Well, the largest ever single donation, I should say. And the gift comes from Rhonda Stryker. She is a trustee of Spelman, and her husband, William Johnston, is the chair of the wealth management company Greenleaf. Ms. Stryker serves as the director of the medical equipment company Stryker Corporation, which was founded by her grandfather. Way to go, Spelman College, and kudos to you, Rhonda Stryker. Now, as Spelman is getting a $100 million donation, Florida's Board of Education announced that it is barring its public colleges from using state and federal funds for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, activities, and policies. This rule now will apply to 28 schools within the Florida college system, and according to its commissioner, its Board of Education commissioner, it will ensure that taxpayer funds can no longer be used to promote DEI on Florida's state college campuses. Interesting. This is Areva Martin in real time, and I'm your host, Areva Martin. This is your one-stop destination for today's trending news, expert analysis, and my unfiltered opinions. In this hour, I am joined by two superstar contributors, Marvin Pendarvis, who is a South Carolina state representative and an attorney. And also in this hour, Lauren McKay is returning. She is a 5-time Emmy Award-winning TV host, producer, and she is a former journalist. And in hour two, we're going behind the headlines. We are digging deep on those stories that people are talking about and those stories that have real-life implications. Today, we're talking about allegations of bullying and harassment against Lincoln University President John Mosley. Now, these allegations were made by former Vice President of Student Affairs, Antoinette Candida Bailey, who unfortunately committed suicide last week, citing the mistreatment by President John Mosley. We're going to be talking in hour two to the president of the Lincoln University Alumni Association, who called for the ouster of John Mosley after these really striking allegations of harassment came forward after the unfortunate suicide of VP Bailey. In hour two, we're also going to be joined by Dr. Julianne Malvo. She is the former president of Bennett College. Going to get her take on some of the stressors that Miss Bailey, VP Bailey, may have been under at a university such as Lincoln University, and find out from the alumni president what the university is doing, how they are responding to requests to have John Mosley step aside. So make sure you stick around for hour two. This is a really interesting and intriguing story, and we have some news that has not been reported out in the media, some troubling details about this story that you don't want to miss. But before I bring on my guest, here is what I'm thinking in real time. Most of you, or all of you, if not, I hope you will go and see the new version of The Color Purple. It is a musical, and it is a different rendition of that epic story. But this movie has been in the news for a lot of reasons. One, we've seen Oprah on every talk show in her beautiful purple outfits and her new body promoting the show. We've seen a lot of the cast members on the red carpet at various awards events. And we've also heard Taraji Henson talking about pay disparities in Hollywood and how she nearly turned down the Broadway musical adaptation because she felt that she was lowballed, that she wasn't offered a pay that reflected her stature in the entertainment industry, and that reflected what someone who has accomplished as much as she has accomplished should be paid. So Taraji's video, audio about her pay in Hollywood went viral. But now Taraji is asking all of us to stop talking about that viral video and stop talking about her comments regarding her pay and her treatment. She wants us all to turn our attention back to the movie. She wants us to keep our focus on The Color Purple. Now, we all know the movie was released on Christmas Day. It's gotten incredible acclaim from movie critics and movie goers. And Taraji's saying, I just hope everybody can focus on the film. I don't think she wanted her truths, her speaking truth to power about her experiences in Hollywood to overshadow this movie. This movie has so many incredible African American actors and actresses in it, and it is getting, like I said, so much acclaim. It's being nominated by some of the big awards shows, and she just wants the movie and the actors and the women in particular, the women of color in this movie, to get their just due. She wants those characters, those folks who are playing those characters, to be recognized for their talents and their skills, and for that to be the message that we associate with this movie, a message of positivity, a message of empowerment, and a message that this is a movie about Black people that stars Black people and has a Black producer, Oprah Winfrey, and an African-American producer and director. So let's do what Taraji's asking us to do. We are always going to be thinking about issues of diversity and always trying to lift up women, particularly women who work in various fields like the entertainment field, because we do need to close the pay gap. But let's just celebrate this movie and celebrate these amazing actors and actresses. When we come forward, more of today's trending and breaking news right here on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
August 24th, 2023, Joan created for eBay. Ad ID EBPA026500. Spot title, Are We There Yet? 30 seconds, radio full mix.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. 120,000 miles of night drives, daily commutes, and who knows how many.
Are we there yet?
Through countless fixes, elbow grease, and a new radiator, you kept your ride alive. With eBay Motors, you have over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
She's so smooth. I'm interrupting my own shower to remind you to treat your skin like the queen she is with Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, packed with Olay's highest level of vitamin B3 complex. It's so moisturizing that it will give you visibly smoother, head-turning skin in just 14 days. People wondering, how'd she get so smooth? Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash. Also, try Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash.
KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Single Moms Planet is a nonprofit organization dedicated to uplifting under-resourced single mom business owners and working mothers nationwide. Single Moms Planet offers comprehensive programs of financial literacy, business development, mentorship, and entrepreneurial training. They provide education, accountability, and hope. Single Moms Planet was founded by model, TV personality, and producer Nefertari Plessy. Nefertari felt firsthand the challenges that face single moms as she was raised by a working single mother. She learned that the most disadvantaged group in the United States are single mom families. According to the U.S. Census, 30% live under the poverty line. So she decided to do something about it, along with co-founder Cole Patterson. Their goal is to end the poverty cycle in single mother households through education, opportunity, and networking, providing family and child enrichment programs for under-resourced single-parent families. Single Moms Planet serves over 10,000 single moms and their children each year. Studies show that business development and financial literacy provide a positive environment for children and families, exposing them to new possibilities and opportunities. To attend one of their fun events, make a donation, or get more information, or if you need help as a single mom, please visit singlemomsplanet.org. That's singlemomsplanet.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We are back, and in this hour, I'm joined by Marvin Pendarvis and Lauren McKay. Thanks to both of you for joining me, and Happy New Year to both of you. Let's just take a moment and celebrate Spelman College getting a $100 million gift, the largest single gift in the history of this historically Black college. I don't know about you, Marvin, but I'm feeling really happy right now for Spelman College.
Good evening, and thank you always for the opportunity to be on your show. I am too. I'm a big proponent of supporting our HBCUs, and anytime that we could celebrate the fact that another HBCU is getting money that will go toward making sure that programs and the school is able to support its students in some meaningful ways is important. We know that HBCUs have historically been underfunded, and I serve in the legislature here in South Carolina. It's an issue we deal with a number of our HBCUs, making sure that we level the playing field with how much money they get. So philanthropic giving is important. Obviously, these private donations go a long way to being able to make sure that they have the tools and the tools and all of that resources necessary to make sure that they're able to pour into the young minds at the school. So very ecstatic for Spelman. This is a great opportunity for them. Looking forward to seeing how this evolves.
Yeah, Lauren, hopefully this kind of gift, this large gift, billionaires or millionaires, they're pretty competitive. So maybe this will encourage someone else to make a similar donation, if not to Spelman, but to another HBCU. How are you feeling in this moment about this amazing gift to this Black college that really educates Black women?
Areva, I think the same. I think this was a huge call out and response to what we've seen recently happen with Harvard. And I was just curious, how big of a commitment is this, like when we look at numbers? So I just looked it up. And so the endowment for HBCUs altogether is $4 billion. Harvard is $50 billion. So this $100 million contribution is indeed historic and shows that we can show up for our communities when others do not. And so I am so proud and over the moon. HBCUs have been getting a lot of attention in these past couple years. Athletes not going to Ohio State and USC, they're going to HBCUs. And I love to see it. And so for all of those who are some of our new allies that still don't understand, well, why is it significant to have HBCUs? Well, my friends, this is why. And so I'm very excited about this news, and I hope more contributions come in for sure.
And talking about HBCUs having a moment, let's give some credit to our Vice President, Kamala Harris, who's a graduate of Howard University, a HBCU, and folks are always saying they don't know what she does. But one of the things she has done is elevate HBCUs. So when you have a graduate from a Howard, a Spelman, or Morehouse in the White House talking about being a graduate from one of those schools, representation matters. So just her very being is significant, and I'm sure has caused these schools to reach a level of prominence, and they've gotten a level of attention that they wouldn't otherwise get if somebody sitting in that seat was not, a graduate of one of these colleges. So I'm gonna give Kamala Harris some indirect credit for this gift as well. All right, let's talk about some of this troubling news today. You are a lawyer, Marvin, like myself. I am worried. I am worried about Fonnie Willis. Not only is she fighting this subpoena to be deposed in the messy, apparently, divorce that's happening between this special prosecutor Wade that she's brought on. The judge has now set a February 15th date for her to come into court and respond to these allegations that have been made against her by one of these Trump co-defendants that she's in a romantic affair with Wade, that Wade has gotten like $600,000 in attorney's fees, and that money's been, somehow funneled back to her for these expensive cruises and trips. And they're talking about criminal investigations, honest service, money fraud. So I'm getting a little worried. How are you feeling in this moment about Fani?
Reva, I'm worried. I'm worried. I'm worried as an attorney because I think about the prosecution, right? Individuals aside, the players aside, we have an opportunity to prosecute Donald Trump and these other defendants for some real crimes that took place as a result of the election in Georgia. And what's going to happen, especially with capable defense lawyers on the other side, is they are going to use this to muddy the waters, to disrupt the issues, and to take everyone's attention away from what happened, but on the individuals involved, the players involved, and the prosecutorial team. And so I wonder whether we will see calls for Fani to step down as far as the special prosecutor in this particular case, just to be able to preserve the opportunity for us to go after and keep the issues where they are and focus on what's happened. It's a distraction. It's an unfortunate one. And I don't want to dive into the merits of the allegations that are made, because at the end of the day, those are allegations, and that'll come out, and obviously depositions will be taken, and whatever comes out, comes out. But what I don't want is us to miss the opportunity here to make sure that Trump and his allies are held criminally responsible for their conduct in the 2020 election. And if there's an opportunity for us to be able to preserve that, the integrity of the prosecution, then that's something that we have to be mindful of. And so I'm curious, if you will, I'm curious to see how things play out over the next several weeks and months. Time is of the essence. We know that this is going to move fast, and so I'm interested to see what happens from here. But I'm worried, certainly worried.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that the judge set a February 15th hearing in which she has to respond to these allegations. And I don't like that, Lauren, that she hasn't responded, because Fani Willis doesn't, hold back. And she's a forceful litigator, and, she punches back. And the fact that she hasn't said much to respond to these allegations, and even in the opposition that she's filed to the subpoena, she has cited some legal issues, like a legal authority saying that, well, it's a divorce where they both have said they're irreconcilable differences, so there really aren't any issues for the court to decide. So my testimony is not, it's a lot of legalese. I'll just put it like this. It's just like, it's a lot of stuff that's basically trying to get out of this deposition. And it's not the kind of argument that typically will get you out of a deposition, because you don't get to tell the people that are trying to subpoena you that you don't have anything that they need or want to hear. We've not heard her come out and say these allegations are categorically false, which is what you would expect someone to say if they were false. I want to read to you, Lauren, something a lawyer, mentor of mine, wrote. She says, we were going back and forth on a text message about it. I said, Lord have mercy, this is troubling. And she said, yes, it's dismaying. She may be too young to know that we have to lead pristine lives if we choose to be in the public arena. Such a double standard. And this is from an older African-American woman, a lawyer, friend, mentor to me. What do you make of her statement?
It is, unfortunately, but fortunately, it's just true. I mean, it's the black tax. It's, the us having to work double. It is what it is. And I think us choosing to be in limelight type of occupations. I mean, and you're going against Trump. I mean, this is quintessential Trump. Like, this is what he does. He literally uses things that are going to deflect and distract from whatever he's got going on. A divorce is like the messiest type of court you could be in. I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I've been through divorce, and I can tell you it's messy. And I just think it's like, yeah, this happened, but they weren't really together, but it is relationship mess. And it's relationship mess that Trump is and his team is really utilizing to get out of it. And it's really unfortunate. It's unfortunate because we all are human and we all make choices. But I would say that's probably the Achilles heel. You being a human and just living could cost you, and it's a big cost. It's a huge cost.
Yeah, Lauren, another lawyer friend of mine says, can't they just pay the ex-wife to chill? I was like, you've never done divorce law. An ex-wife that has the dirt on a husband she's divorcing who's maybe, dating a high-profile woman like Fonnie Willis. It ain't gonna be easy. This is gonna get very nasty. We're going to pray for Fonnie Willis that this all works out okay and that we keep prosecuting Donald Trump. When we come forward, more of today's breaking and trending news. We got to talk about these primaries happening in New Hampshire. And Donald Trump is trying to take Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis out. Stay with us, KBLA Talk 1580.
Right time. More of Areva Martin when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Students at Francis Howell North High School in St. Charles County, Missouri, are protesting what they call the school board's ongoing pattern of discrimination and racism. The most recent issue saw the school board reverse its decision to remove elective courses for Black history and Black literature in response to the backlash. Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson's office is responding to reports of unsanitary conditions at a Pilsen migrant shelter where a 5-year-old boy died last month. Emails obtained by WTTW-TV showed the mayor and his administration received complaints about unsafe conditions at the shelter as early as late October. That's more than a month before Jean Carlos Martinez Rivero died after becoming ill at the facility. A spokesperson for Johnson, who is Black, released a statement saying the city was aware of issues raised about the conditions at the shelter and had actively been in the process of addressing the situation. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Drive carefully in South LA and watch for a stall in the center divide of the 110 South before Florence Avenue. Right now, you can expect a 15-minute traffic jam from the 10 Washington Boulevard split. In Culver City, over 45 minutes of heavy traffic continues back on the 405 North between National Boulevard and Nordoff Street. Southbound traffic in West LA also runs heavy just under 30 minutes between Wilshire Boulevard and La Tierra. Downtown LA has an accident currently on the right shoulder of the 101 South before the 60 freeway, Soto Street interchange. Right now, heavy traffic is coming from Sunset Boulevard. And over in Downey, an accident is on the 5 South on the right shoulder at Lakewood Boulevard. Rosemead split with 30 minutes of heavy traffic from the 101.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
If you're an alumni of Southern University and Grambling, a date has been confirmed for the annual Bayou Classic. The two HBCU schools will play each other on November 30th in the New Orleans Superdome. The festive college football game attracts alumni from around the country, not just from Southern and Grambling, but from many other HBCU schools as well. This will be the 51st Bayou Classic. If you're not able to get to New Orleans, the game will be televised live on NBC. Pittsburgh's Mike Tomlin, the dean of Black head coaches in the NFL, said he's returning for an 18th season with the Steelers. After the Steelers lost their playoff game at Buffalo on Tuesday, there were concerns that Tomlin would walk away and look for other opportunities. Tomlin's run in Pittsburgh is the longest of any Black head coach in the NFL. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we do Black history every single day. In fact, as the only Black talk radio station west of the Mississippi, we are Black history. Our annual Black History Month luncheon is fast approaching, and we want to be sure to give you ample time to get your company, organization, church, or group to join us at this year's celebration on the last day of the month, Thursday, February 29th at noon. Last year, we honored iconic local Black media personalities, including Pat Harvey, Jim Hill, Mark Brown, Beverly White, Sandy Banks, and Pat Prescott, and raised $20,000 in scholarships. This year, we're honoring Black Hollywood creatives who have used their artistic genius as climate justice champions. At this year's luncheon, we will be showcasing and sharing their inspiring work on our big screen, plus a scrumptious meal, live music, great company, and lots of fun with your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts. So contact us today at info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. That's info@smileyAudiomedia.com or call 323-290-4690. We hope to see you Thursday, February 29th as we close out Black History Month. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your Black.
City of Los Angeles landlords that own rent-controlled properties, starting February 1st, you'll be able to increase rents by 4% for your rent-controlled properties. An extra 1% per utility, up to 6%, can be added only if you pay the entire gas and electric bill. And don't forget to give your tenant an advance 30-day written notice for rent increases of less than 10%. It is state law. Learn more about the rent increase at housing.lacity.org. That's housing.lacity.org.
When you're young, life is full of choices. Don't let opioids like highly addictive and deadly fentanyl take away your life with just one wrong pill. Addiction is a disease that can affect anyone at any age. But there is a choice to get help for this disease. Find medically proven treatment options, including virtual, at choosemat.org.
You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
We are back, and I have some experts here helping us today with the breaking and trending news. Marvin Pendarvis is here. He's a South Carolina State Representative and an attorney, and Lauren McKay is the 5-time Emmy Award-winning TV host, producer, and former journalist. Okay, Lauren, the LA Times, the biggest paper in Los Angeles, probably in California, is about to lose a huge number of staff members, and not surprisingly, many of them are people of color. And a big part of why the African-American editor left a couple of weeks ago was because he and the owner of the paper were butting heads over these planned cuts that he said was going to really damage the reputation of the paper and its ability to operate. Now, the owner is saying, look, I've lost $30-40 million on this paper, but you have these diverse journalists fighting for their positions, saying we just got here. We've been trying to, make this paper reflect the city of Los Angeles, and now they're being the first ones apparently who may be losing their jobs. What's happening to our, the media, particularly the print media?
So I think there's several things going on here. One, I was in Cleveland and watched one of the major papers, the Plain Dealer, go completely obsolete, which was really sad because I grew up with that paper. So print has been going through this kind of phasing out phase for probably more than a decade. It wasn't really hitting the New York Times and Huffington Post as much because they're syndicated papers and they're very well known. So for this to happen to the LA Times, it feels like it's in time with where things have been going, especially in another financial crisis that we find ourselves just a couple years after 2008, 2009, when papers took another significant hit. So that's one thing. I think this is kind of on par with where media is with print. On the other side, it's really a shame to lose the voices of the unheard, and brown and black voices are usually the voices that are unheard in the media room in general. Print, television, radio. There was 5 of us at one point on it, and when I worked at a TV station, fighting for stories, and we would still not get the story told because it wasn't relevant to the bosses up ahead. So this is at a detriment, I think, to LA Times, because if you look at the demographics of the city of Los Angeles, that paper and those employees ought to represent that demographic. And the fact that those are the first ones gone, I think you're going to lose a lot of readership.
Yeah, it's really a big blow to the city because the paper, when I moved to LA Times, I mean, it was as thick as the New York Times. And I know papers in general have been shrinking because of online news, but the paper is already, for a big city like LA, it's not a big city newspaper. And I just wonder how much of this has to do with these billionaires that buy these media companies and media outlets. And they're not really, some of them, not all, but some of them aren't really committed to being in the news and media business. And I would assume that comes along with not necessarily even knowing how to run them effectively. So we've got this big tech guy who buys the LA Times for $500 million some years ago. And according to him, he's never made money with the paper, and his family, it's a rich family. He says they're tired of subsidizing the paper. So I'm going to be watching this very carefully, but I'm concerned like you are. If we lose those black and brown reporters and editors and writers, what do we have? We won't have those stories. We will just have those stories of, the people who are at the top of these entities, mostly white males. So really sad day for LA. We hope that this gets turned around, or maybe somebody swoops in and buys the paper that really wants to invest in it. But let's talk a little politics. Marvin, New Hampshire's coming up. And Donald Trump wants Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis out of this nominating contest, and he wants them out like yesterday. They are a thorn in his side. He's like having to spend money attacking Nikki Haley in New Hampshire, and he just wants this to all be over so he can concentrate on attacking Joe Biden. But Nikki Haley is hanging around, and Ron DeSantis has said he's going to hang around to the convention just in case Donald Trump, gets caught in one of these lawsuits. But what are you predicting will happen in New Hampshire? Because Nikki Haley is counting on all of these independent voters to, save the day for her, because it won't be the MAGA crowd that's going to vote for her over Donald Trump.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'll tell you, I was looking back at Iowa and seeing Nikki Haley's performance and her coming in third. Obviously, that signals she's banking on New Hampshire, and then obviously being able to carry that momentum here to South Carolina, where she hopes to perform well. It's interesting you mentioned Ron DeSantis. As you know, I serve in the South Carolina House of Representatives, and I just got back from our state capitol this evening. And this week, Ron DeSantis was in our Capitol doing a press conference with some of my Republican colleagues because he's trying to show Nikki Haley that he's going to outperform her in her home state. What does that mean for Donald Trump? I think it goes back to what you said. And what ultimately I believe will happen is he'll be the nominee, and it seems like that's what's trending, and he'll be able to pick up momentum as he moves forward. But as far as New Hampshire, I believe Nikki will do well there. Will it be well enough to overcome the Trump crowd and to be able to outperform her there? I don't know, but I think she'll do better there than she did in Iowa, simply because you have so many people who have who are independents there that she's hoping to be able to appeal to. If you look at where she's spending a lot of money, a lot of it is in New Hampshire. A lot of her infrastructure is in New Hampshire. So she's making a big investment in New Hampshire, hoping that investment will return in a victory there and giving her some momentum going into the South Carolina primary.
So Marvin, let's talk about South Carolina. You are there, so you have your finger on the pulse of what's happening with voters. Ron DeSantis, as you said, is in that state house trying to make, himself relevant in the state. Is there a chance that one, Donald Trump beats Nikki Haley in South Carolina, or two, that Ron DeSantis could beat and come in second? I know he's not going to come in first, but that could literally come in second over Nikki Haley in her own home state?
I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. What I will tell you is the MAGA crowd in South Carolina looms large. We see it in our chamber when we look at the elected Republicans that are there, and what's important to their constituents. He is very, very popular here in the state. He's made a couple of trips here over the last.
Donald Trump or Ron DeSantis is popular?
Donald Trump is wildly popular still in South Carolina. Every trip he's made here, he's had long lines, big crowds, and is still able to generate a buzz and an energy around him that shows me, and I think signals to the other candidate, that he's going to be a major player here. And so I would suspect that he would still win South Carolina. And I wouldn't be surprised if Nikki Haley came in third.
You could see Ron DeSantis beating Nikki Haley in her own home state?
Do I see it? No, but I wouldn't be surprised. I think she will be able to at least come in second. She was a popular governor, especially among the Republican base, and so her voters like her. They liked her as ambassador. She still has a lot of supporters here that are kind of carving out this persona of her as being not as bad as Trump, right? Being someone who's got good governmental experience and someone who could lead on day one with her foreign affairs experience as ambassador, and then also her experience as 8 years as governor, and even her time in the legislature. So they're billing her as that candidate, and I think she'll do well here. But just talking with colleagues and kind of getting a sense of where Republicans stand, DeSantis has he has a level of support here as well. He has a level of infrastructure here as well. Do I think he'll win here? No. Do I think he'll come in second? No. But what I'll say is I'm not surprised. I know that on a national scale, things are different, right? Even though Nikki Haley was a popular governor and she did a number of things as ambassador, when it comes to presidential politics, South Carolinians think different, and I think they want more, especially as I suspect as Republicans think, and so that's what I think.
Lauren, do you think Ron DeSantis can hang on to Super Tuesday, March 5th? Donald Trump has him gone like yesterday.
Yeah, I know. I actually think he has more of a chance, honestly, to hang on than I think Nikki Haley does. I think that I think this is her last ditch effort, and I think she's really trying to bolster herself as I'm the one that can take out Trump, but she's got a little bit of a uphill battle, I think.
I agree.
It'll be interesting because Donald Trump is going to put so much pressure on both of them because he definitely wants to turn his attention to Joe Biden and start thinking more long-term about November, not having to spend his money or time on either of them. When we come forward, we're going to talk about that tape, that locker room tape where Donald Trump is caught saying, grab women by the you-know-what. A judge in the civil defamation case involving E. Jean Carroll is going to allow that tape to be played to the jurors. That may happen as soon as Monday, since, of course, it's going to be closed tomorrow. What impact, if any, might that have on the New Hampshire race, which will be the day after that tape is played, presumably in an open courtroom in New York? Stay with us. KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be a sign that your digestive system isn't working at its best? Taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil fiber powders help promote your daily digestive health using a plant-based fiber called psyllium. The gelling action of this special fiber traps and removes waste, so you can feel lighter and more energetic. Metamucil, promoting digestive health for a better you. Learn more at metamucil.com. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart, it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. The Queen Sleep Number C2 smart bed is now only $9.90. Plus free home delivery when you add any base. Ends Monday. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com. Why choose a Sleep Number smart bed? Because no two people sleep the same. Only the Sleep Number smart bed lets you each choose your individual firmness and comfort, your Sleep Number setting. The Climate 360 smart bed is so smart, it actively cools or warms up to 13 degrees on either side for your ideal sleep temperature. The Queen Sleep Number C2 smart bed is now only $9.90. Plus free home delivery when you add any base. Ends Monday. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. To find a store near you, visit sleepnumber.com.
You're all set with your Medicare prescriptions, Mrs. Brown.
This is not just low-cost copays at Walgreens.
I can actually help you set up 90-day refills if you want.
This is having a partner you can trust. Get low-cost copays, 90-day refills, and delivery from your neighborhood Walgreens. This is being independent. Together. Walgreens.
Restrictions apply. For details, see walgreens.com/pharmacy.
Pizza's here. Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's game day at Jim's house, and the spread is impressive.
Mike's already done some damage with the hot wings, and now he's dropping back and going deep for another slice of pizza.
I sure hope he brought the Pepto.
Mike knows the Pepto-Bismol provides fast 5-symptom relief from unexpected stomach upsets. He's no rookie.
The way he's throwing back those nachos, he's the GOAT.
Be ready for game day with Pepto-Bismol. When you have nausea, heartburn, indigestion, upset stomach, diarrhea. Use as directed. Keep out of.
We are back, and Donald Trump wasn't in court today because he was at his mother-in-law's funeral in Florida, but the testimony of E. Jean Carroll concluded this morning. This is in the second defamation civil trial that's happening in Manhattan, and E. Jean Carroll says that her reputation was damaged when Donald Trump in 2019 called her a liar over 26 times. The expert testified today that said that the harm to E. Jean Carroll's reputation will cost anywhere from $7 to $12 million to be repaired. And court's going to be closed tomorrow, Friday, but Monday, court's going to resume, Marvin. And the judge says that Access Hollywood tape, the tape where we hear Donald Trump making that incredibly, rude and inflammatory statement about women and their genitals and how he could grab them by their genitals, is going to be admitted into this trial. What do you make of that, and what impact might it have not only on the jury, but on voters who, if that tape gets played on Monday, are going to the polls in New Hampshire on Tuesday?
Well, if you think about the trial that's being had, this defamation case, I'm glad to see that the judge allowed it in. I think it has probative value, and it'll allow the court and the jury in particular to see how those comments, how triggering they are, and the impact that they could have. Someone hearing that tape played in court is certainly going to have an impact on those jurors, especially as they decide on how this impacted this woman who's suing Donald Trump. As far as the impact that it's going to have on the New Hampshire primary, I think it's marginal at best. Not to sound like a cynic, but I think that the voters in New Hampshire, particularly the ones that support Donald Trump, are going to continue to support Donald Trump. I believe that the number of independent voters, which we talked about earlier with Nikki Haley, as large as they are, there will be people probably swayed, but the honesty is, we've known that he's made those comments, and there really hasn't been a real dispute that he said those things. Hearing them on the record and hearing them in, with the tape, I think will mean something different. But we've known Donald Trump to say a number of foul, filthy, and derogatory and racist things toward a number of people, and it still has not impacted him in any meaningful way. In fact, it seems to galvanize his base to vote and support and show up for him even more. And so if it does have any impact in New Hampshire, I think it'll be marginal at best.
And Lauren, that's what's so puzzling about voters. I was listening earlier today to the Uvalde press conference that was held, where the Department of Justice had gone into Uvalde. That's the place where, the shooter was inside the school. The little girl called to law enforcement saying, I'm playing dead, I'm still alive. And none of the officers went in, and we saw those kids killed in that school in Uvalde, Texas. And Justice Department went in, blamed the police, said the police work was just substandard, just horrible police work, made it very clear that something could have been done differently by these law enforcement officers, these local law enforcement officers, and had they acted differently, they could have saved lives. So then I interviewed a father, and he was so emotional. His son was murdered in the school, and he said it was just stunning to him to be able to walk around this little town, see these police officers. Many of them, none of them fired, he said, and some of them have gotten promotions and have gone on to, actually run for elected office. And then he said the town was divided because half of the residents were voting for the very people who were involved in not providing protection for their children. And we know, he said, many of them voted for the governor of Texas, even though he will not do anything, Abbott will not do anything about, guns in that state. You've been a reporter for a long time. You've interviewed a lot of people. What is it about people that continue to vote for elected officials who they know are doing things that are against their best interests, or, opposite of their best interests, like in the Uvalde case, and then in Donald Trump's case, women that support Donald Trump when we know he thinks so little of us, like, we're gum on his shoe. And he's told us that over and over and over again in the most transparent, explicit ways that any man can tell a woman, you are nothing to me. Why do we voters keep voting for people like this?
I think a few things happen when people get to the polls. I think cognitive dissonance, definitely. I think people go by what they think. Even though they're in the poll by themselves, I think they go by what they think their family's going to do, by what they think others. It's like, it's by what the party traditionally stands for. Like, Republicans traditionally stand for pro-life. So a lot of Christians go that way. But if you think about Trump as a leader, has he really lived a life that supports pro-life? Like, it doesn't really make sense, but I think it goes on what they kind of know. And I would hearken it to a full lack of education and fully understanding issues and history. And that is just a conglomerate issue in America. When I go to other countries, they not only know the thorough in and outs of their country, opposing sides and all, but then they know everything about other countries, America. The lack of education here is just, it's sad, because it then allows people to say things like Trump has said, and for it to just be oh, he's so funny. He's so crazy. And I think the implication that could lead to is, if you don't trust someone's words, you're going to eventually have to see their actions. And I hate for us to get to that point, because we could just trust the words and act.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And Marvin, you are an elected official, so you've had to run campaigns, you've been voted for, and and you spend most of your professional life with other elected officials. What is it that you see with voters, white voters, whether they're in Kentucky or other southern states that have governors like Abbott, who won't do anything to get guns off the street, and in fact is pushing legislation to put more guns on the street? And these poor families. I mean, we watched as these families just weep and, mourn the loss of their children, as all of us would if our kids were killed in a school or killed anywhere. But then they go and vote for these people over and over again.
Lauren put it so succinctly, but she's right. It's cognitive dissonance. The people, I serve in a body of 124 members that are in the South Carolina House of Representatives, and we debate everyday issues that come up. And I get a chance to go into areas of the state and talk to people about their views and what's important to them. And I can tell you that there are people who know what Trump does. They know what their elected officials do. Many of them are aware that it's against their best interest, but many of them do not care. Many of them see that the good that they do, Trump's a fighter. He cares about us. So what if he talks about women? So what if he says bad things? So what if he has a potty mouth? So what if, he vote, if the things that he's doing is detrimental to the community and opposite to what should be in a functional society? They care about only specific issues. And if he's touching base on those specific issues, then that's all that matters. And I attribute a lot of it also to ignorance. People just are very ignorant, and we have a very uninformed electorate in a lot of ways, and they don't fully understand the consequences of certain legislative actions and the impact that it has on their lives. It's unfortunate, it's sad, and I'm worried about the direction we're going.
Well, we are out of time. Thank you so much, Marvin Pendarvis. Thank you so much, Lauren McKay. Always a pleasure to spend time with both of you. Ending on a somber note, but we'll resume this conversation when we come forward more with KBLA Talk 1580, that horrifying story out of Lincoln University. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
Oh, I'm muted. Thank you.